Here we are with Daniel Rowland, the champion of the Atacama Crossing this year. So, congratulations, Daniel.
Yeah,
it's a great race this year. So, what did you expect to accomplish this year?
Well, this year I was hoping to run a better race than I ran last year. So my goal was to run a faster time and hopefully improve my position. But it's always very difficult to know who's going to be at the race. For example, last year the field was very deep and I was hoping to do better than I did do. There were a lot of good runners there, so I ended up coming ninth. This year I was hoping to run a better race in terms of time and how I did my strategy.
What did you do this year to accomplish that?
I went to San Pedro in November for a week to learn the course and the route so that I knew what was coming in the race, all the strategic points in the race. I've also been working with a coach from South Africa who brought some discipline and consistency to my training, which helped a lot in the race. And I've spent a lot of time in the last 6 months thinking about what gear to use and about how I would run the race.
How difficult was to put the training in your life? How was it?
Well, up until September last year I was working, and then I stopped working, so I had a lot more time to put the training in, and I think it was a bigger focus in my life in September, so it was not so hard to put it in, but I had more time to do all the other important things: stretching, recovery time, massages, working with trigger point rollers, all those sort of things. So this year was more complete preparation, not just training, but there also the other fundamental things.
This year, the first stage, you made the course records. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. It was
No?
a surprise. I got a whole lot of messages on day 2 saying you won the first stage and the course record, and I had no idea. So it was a great surprise.
So the original course and a course record. That's great for your first time.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I was really pleased. And amazingly, it was only 1 minute faster than second, so that was quite a surprise too.
So we saw you running with Vlad. How was that time with?
Yeah, it was very good actually. We managed to help each other a lot during the race. So lots of times we would be running together and I would ask him, can you see the next flag? Or he would ask me, where's the next flag? What's coming up? And it helped us in the first 2 or 3 days to make an advantage over the third place. So in the first 3 stages we were working together and we managed to get, I think, almost an hour on the third place run. So that was great to have someone to run with.
It was difficult to run with another guy who's trying to beat you on the race?
It was. I was getting quite nervous, especially as the difference was less than a minute after 3 stages.
Yeah.
But on the 4th day I had a very good day and ran a good section through the salt flats. I managed to get some time there, so that made all the difference.
When did you switch the strategy for the race?
On the 4th day. Each day I was trying to win a small advantage, so on the 2nd day I managed to win the sprint finish, and on the 3rd day we finished together, but I gave my timing to him first, so I got a 1 second advantage on him, and I think psychologically that helped. But each day I'd come in first and my name was first in the results, so I was trying to maintain that, and then on the 4th day I wanted to get a little bit of a margin before the stage.
What was your more difficult part of the race?
I think the most difficult part of the race was on the long day after we descended the dune. It's a very long section in the dry riverbed and it's very hot. It's the first day that I ran after 2 o'clock in the race. And I hadn't run during the race in that heat and with the dry air and no wind. So that was a very difficult section for me, but I think it was also difficult for the other runners. So I tried to take advantage of it. I really suffered in that section.
And the best part?
Towards the end of the fourth stage, I was running really well out of the salt flats. I made a small lead and I was feeling quite confident. But the next day would be a good day. I really enjoyed the El Salar in stage 4 and then running to the lagoon.
So what do you think? This year was more difficult than the last year or not?
I think the route was more difficult this year. On stage 2 we ran through the slot canyons, which were quite difficult footing. It was a lot slower than last year when we didn't go through the slot canyons. And then on day 4 we ran further. We didn't stop at Los Ocos, we continued on to a different lagoon, which was another 3 kilometers further. And on the long stage this year, the beginning of the long stage, the first 20 kilometers we ran through salt flats, which were very difficult. In fact, we couldn't run there. It was, the whole field was walking. It was very, very difficult. So I think overall this year's race was, the route was more difficult, but I was better prepared for it. So maybe it came out the same overall.
Because you said in one interview that last year was more like survival, and this year is more like was more like a race.
I think that was more because of my condition. Last year I wasn't as well prepared. I didn't know the route, and when I wasn't at the front, which is what I hoped to be, I was just trying to survive each stage, and I struggled quite a lot on many of the days. This year I was near the front, and every day I was running with lags, so it was more strategic and had more features of a race. And that was the distinction I was trying to make.
So, what is your resolution for this year or for this Atacama Crossing?
Well, I think my resolution was to improve on last year. I was hoping to put together a good 6 months of preparation and consider all the factors that go into having a good race. Consider the training, the nutrition, the gear, understanding the routes, and that was my goal. To try and bring all the important factors together to have a good race.
What did you change with your food, with your nutrition this year?
Last year I used expedition meals for every dinner, and after a few days they got a little bit boring and I didn't really like the flavour that much. So this year I tried to look for a combination of food, more powdered drinks during the day, more calories when I was running. I tried to take 200 calories an hour when I was running. And then in the evenings eat real food. So I had couscous, chorizo, olive oil, some noodles, parmesan cheese, small portions but more flavorful and more real food than a sort of freeze-dried meal.
So you think that was a key point in the race, the food?
I think so, yeah. The food made a big difference. This year I also took a sleeping mat, which was much more comfortable. I had earplugs so that I could sleep better when people were snoring in the tent. So I think overall I thought about recovery better than I had last year. And that helped me to be more consistent through the different stages and not to tire too much as we got to stage 4 in the long run.
Did you change anything to accomplish or to have a better performance on the long march the day before?
No, I didn't change anything the day before, but on the morning of the long march I threw away my earplugs, my toothbrush, anything that wasn't obligatory gear and that weighed something in my backpack. So I tried to get rid of everything that I didn't have to have on a long stage, and that was the only change. Everything else was the same food, same number of calories per hour, and the same efforts that I tried to start the stage with.
How was the last stage? It was maybe a 8 kilometers sprint. So how did you manage it to finish the race?
I was hoping to win the last stage, but after the long day I put in a very big effort and I was just feeling quite tired. I stayed with the group until about 4 kilometers And when they went for a sprint for the finish, I just didn't have any energy left. And my legs were starting to hurt, and I was just happy to have a big margin at that point, so that I didn't have to race.
What do you have in mind for this year?
I'd like to do another multi-stage race in October. I haven't thought about it too much yet. I was just hoping to get through that Atacama and to have a good race there. And now I'm going to spend some time talking with Luma, who's my sponsor, and also with my coach, and see what we need to do and when we can be ready for another good race.
We hope you see you again in another race and hopefully winning.
Thank you, Matthias. I think something to think about for everyone is that there are a lot of components to a stage race. There's the training, the preparation, gear, food, recovery, and it takes a long time to put all those things together. But it is possible. If you think of all those things and your diligence in preparing, it is possible to complete a good stage race. And I hope to have another one this year. Hopefully Trail Chile will be coming along with me.
Thank you. So see you next year. So see you next race.
Fantastic. Thanks, Matthias.